Come on. Come on. Come on, you can do this. Come on. Come on. Come on, you gotta come over here. Get up there. We're there now. Y'all doing good?
Yeah.
Oh, good to see you. Jimmy, are you talking?
I can talk. Babydog will listen to me, maybe. Governor, we are very happy to have you here at Wood County. And you've been here before, and you've really helped us when we needed help. Thank you for what you've done during the pandemic and everything else. And Babydog. I'm here today to present this resolution that we had in the paper this morning. I will say to you that after reading some more things, the governor is wise to bring this kind of forum to the people, because when we passed this, what was really in doubt was the fact that the money would go to Charleston, but nobody told us what money would come back. And maybe the governor has some thoughts on that, and that's one wonderful way that we came to see it. Governor? Dog for you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Well, before I get going and everything, thanks for the wisdom, in what you've done here. You passed a resolution basically that says, well, I don't know if it's a good idea, a bad idea, but we're probably not on board. Well, I can tell you from my side, how I feel about this whole thing, and I'll do that in just a second, but I want you to know that I always want to be respectful, whether it be to our good senator, I want to be respectful to all. I don't want to create a food fight, and I'm not here to do that, because I'm not here to draw attention to me from the standpoint that I'm going to run for this office or that or whatever it may be. I'm here for one purpose, and that is I truly believe that you don't know what you're getting ready to have happen to you, that I think, and you've entrusted me beyond belief, and you've honored me beyond belief. But with all that being said, I don't think you really know, and I don't think the people know, and I don't think it's right, because I think the people of West Virginia, once they know, they'll get it right. They'll get it right. You have over and over. Now, with all that being said, I think that, I'll let Dave talk first. Secretary Hardy, please talk.
Thank you.
Now, you can't go on forever.
No. All right. Are we good? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. The governor tells me sometimes I talk a little too much, so I'll go as fast as I can, okay? My name is Dave Hardy, and I'm the Secretary of Revenue for Governor Justice. And my background, of course, is in Charleston, where I was a city council member for 6 years, and I was a county commissioner of Kanawha County for 16 years. So I really value and understand the value of local government budgets, and especially at the county level. When I was looking at your courthouse there a few minutes ago, I was looking around and how important it is that county government be on the ground and provide the services that you need. And Mark Muco here to my right, Mark's been with the state of West Virginia 38 years. So between the two of us, we have 65 years of budget experience at state and local, federal budget, state and local budgets. So let me just say this, and I'll say it right out of the box. Amendment 2 is a bad idea. It's just a bad idea. But before I go there, let me tell you how we got there, okay? I came on board with the governor in January 2017. And when I started, the governor and I sat down and we looked at the state's finances. We were, for the fiscal year that we were halfway through, we were $217 million in the red. That was our starting point. I sort of panicked. I'd never been involved with budgets in the red before. Then we got the next financial report, fiscal year 18, and we were $497 million in the red. So we were projected to be $700 million in the hole the first 18 months we were there. Luckily, Babydog was not there at that point to cheer us on and give us advice, but the governor was. And now, 5.5 years later, when I stand up and say this, I could not be more proud of this. West Virginia's finances are in the best order they have ever been in the history of this state. We just finished a fiscal year 22, and our budget deficit, or budget surplus, deficit, no way, our budget surplus was $1,308 million. And we grew our revenue 22% in fiscal year 22. That's easy to remember. And it's because of the leadership of this governor right here, and I think he deserves a round of applause for that. Now, we started looking around. The governor said, it's time to start giving people West Virginia some of their money back. And we started studying and looking and discussing things with the governor. And here's what we found real fast. States that don't have an income tax are booming like crazy. There are 9 states in the United States that don't have an income tax. You're familiar with most of them. Most of us go visit them. Tennessee, Texas, Florida, we've all seen Florida on the news all week. South Dakota, Wyoming, Nevada, Alaska, they don't have an income tax. And guess what's happening in the states that don't have an income tax? In the last 10 years, those states have grown at twice the rate as the rest of the United States. Their economies have grown by 56% faster than the other 41 states in the United States. And then, of course, we have telework. Telework is the future. More and more people are being allowed the opportunity to work from home. And guess what all this studies show with teleworkers? Does this surprise anybody? Teleworkers can work anywhere they want because they work from home. They want to work in states that don't have an income tax. So if you want to grow West Virginia, the way to make West Virginia grow is to eliminate the state income tax. The governor had an immediate plan in July, called the legislature in session. We were going to cut it 10% right on the spot and put $271 million right back in your pocket this week in July, first week of July. Didn't happen. Didn't happen because of this issue involving Amendment 2. Now let me tell you about Amendment 2, a little history here. The West Virginia Constitution was amended in November of 1932. I tell you what, I'm just going to stand over here with Babydog. It was amended in 1932 by a unanimous, very large vote. Not unanimous, very large. By a landslide. And the Constitution was amended to guarantee that the counties, the cities, and the school boards get the revenue from our property taxes. So when you pay those property taxes, that's where it's going. Cities, counties, school boards. That's guaranteed in the West Virginia Constitution. Smart. That means for the past 90 years, you've gotten your revenue to run your cities, counties, and school boards. Amendment 2 wants to take that away. Amendment 2 is a constitutional amendment that says the legislature will now be in charge of structuring the taxes, including the property tax. Now that means, if that passes, going forward for the next 100 years, 150 years, the legislature is going to decide how much of the property tax revenue comes back to the cities, counties, and school boards. Now, we're in good times right now. We're in good times because we have a governor that understands finances. But does anybody think in the next 100 years, West Virginia is not going to have financial challenges? 10 years ago, we were in a hole of $200 million. When the governor took over, we were in a hole of $700 million. So what's going to happen is, as we move forward, if that amendment passes and the legislature takes that property tax revenue and says we'll give it back from the general revenue fund of the state, you're going to be competing with all the other parties that are involved with the state budget. I can just tick them off. Medicaid, PEIA, state employee raises, pension issues, national and local disasters. So if you want to give up your guaranteed revenue and trust the West Virginia legislature forevermore to give it back, you vote for Amendment 2. If you want to hold on to your revenue, baked into the Constitution since 1932, you vote no for Amendment 2. Now, the governor says I talk too much, so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to the 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, the man that brought us the record surplus in June of this year, Governor Jim Justice.
Okay. Now, our Secretary of Revenue can give you numbers, and this is our Deputy Secretary right here, and he can give you great numbers and good sense too. While I can give you a lot of stuff that's down in the weeds, I choose just to talk to you. Now, here's all there is to it. Jimmy knows me really, really well, and a lot of you do too. I can tell you over and over and over, we can say anything we want. I've made plenty of mistakes along the way, but I've told you the truth to the best of my abilities in every way, period. I always have. I can tell you that we've tried to talk common sense, we've tried to negotiate, we've tried to do all kinds of different things, and we haven't gotten to first base. And from the standpoint of where I am, I haven't really, over the last year plus, while there's been overture after overture of people coming and talking to the school boards or talking to the county commissioners and telling you this is a newfangled thing that we got coming down the pipe, I was never once, not one time, asked to join the party, asked to be of my opinion, not one time. Now we want to debate it. Well, it's way too late to debate it because I'm the guy that's the fair guy. But I'm not going to jump into the middle of the food fight just for the sake of the food fight. And I'm not going to line up like a bunch of sheep just because leadership says A and just do it like a sheep nonstop every time. I'm not going to do that because I believe that your elected officials are here to give their best vote by what their constituents and their conscious beliefs, not to just line up and say we're just going to all go in one direction or not. Now, here's what I know. Amendment 2 has been brought to you in a way that is proposed that will say, if we get rid of, there's people on the outside that don't have a machinery and inventory tax. And we want rid of the machinery and inventory tax. And it will, by getting rid of that, it will just miraculously bring all kinds of manufacturing opportunities to us. Now again, if you choose to believe that, that's your choice. And I'm not here to debate at all. I am here only to tell you what I know is fact. Now we've got business after business after business coming to West Virginia today. You had all this knowledge in the past before I walked into the game, and literally, like it or not like it, but when I walked in on day one, we were dead bankrupt. I don't care what anybody says. This state was as bankrupt could be. And all we knew to do was one thing, and that was cut. Cut. The more we cut, the more people left. And the more people left, we just drug the hole right with us. And we can say what we want, but that's just fact. Honest to God, it's just fact. It's not braggadocious, it's just fact. Now, so I brought lots of ideas, and all of a sudden things clicked. The good Lord above, I think, is right with me in my camp and every step of the way, and you too. And lo and behold, boom, off we go. So here we are today. And today, any research in the land, I don't care what it is, any research in the land would tell you that if you can get on a pathway of getting rid of your personal income tax, you're going to do really, really well. All the populations right above us, they got to come through us to get to Tennessee's or South Carolina, which is on the way to doing that, or Georgia, which is on the way to doing that, but Florida, Texas, and on and on and on. So I'm making a mess out of everything here. Yeah, you keep that away from me. Okay. So here's the straight skinny of the whole thing. You have folks that have gone out and become wedded to the machinery and inventory situation. And in all of that, I personally believe they can't get away from it. Because, gosh, I'm really making a real mess of it. You just hold on to that for me, too. In a minute, I'm going to give you my jacket. But so, by being wedded to it, I mean you make promises. Other people make promises to you. There is no logic that I'm the business guy. There's no logic behind this in any way to me. You see, this should be done after we get rid of our personal income tax. Because our personal income tax benefits all of y'all. From the standpoint of getting rid of our machinery and inventory tax, it only benefits you if, in fact, somebody does come. It's a hope. I mean, it's build a field and hope they'll come. Now, that's what it is. We can go way back in time to where we believed, without any question, which I am a proponent of 1,000-fold, is we had to pass a right-to-work law in West Virginia. And we did. And we knew they would come right after that. And all of a sudden we woke up, they didn't come. And then we cut. And then we woke up again, and it didn't come again. And we cut again. And then we didn't have any idea what in the world to do. And then along came Jim Justice, if you're just telling the God's awful truth. Now with all that, the situation you've got right now is you don't understand Amendment 2 at all. You don't understand. There's no humanly way you understand it. Now, if you're the general public, what you're basically doing with Amendment 2 is you're saying just this. You're saying that you're willing to give the legislature the power to change the tax structure if they choose to do so. And so basically what could happen then, and what will happen, is the funds that are your county funds will not come through taxation the way they're set up today, because that taxation is going to go away for the most part. But what's going to happen then is the money is going to go to Charleston, or the money is going to be in Charleston. Now, if you buy into the fact that we're going to have growth forever, and growth, and you buy into the fact of stuff that we've been given, and Dave, give me that sheet of paper.
You know, this is the last proposal of proposals that we were given, but here's the deal. In 2023, it says that we're going to have a flat budget of $4,645,000. In 2024, $4,625,000 or 45. In 25, $4,645,000. In 26, $4,645,000. Now just think, what happens if dupe happens along the way? There's no way on God's earth that anybody can do this, except unless you have a belief in your mind that what you believe is there's all kinds of waste in government. We'll just cut this. If PEIA goes up, well, we'll just cut something else out. You know, if we have to pay matching dollars to be able to get real federal dollars on something we don't have, we won't be able to either do that. If there's pay raises that we're wanting to do for people all across the state, we can't do that. If there's pension situations, well, you can't do that unless you really cut something else. Now that's impossible. And you're talking to a business guy, and I don't say this braggadociously, but honestly, I am surely one thing in life, and that is the best business guy in that building down there. I will promise you that. And the other thing that I would tell you is just simply just this is, if we step back from it and we just think for just 1 second, you know, I've promised you along the way, the one thing that I would really do is tell you the truth and mind the store. Look after the store. I've tried to keep as close to a flat budget as I could possibly keep. Now, we don't want to wastefully do anything. Nothing. We don't want to waste your dollars anywhere. But the point that really should be that you should dial into more than anything in the world is really twofold. One is just this. You know, I'll never forget Bobby Pruitt called me on the phone. He said exactly these words. He said, this is just simply just this. And that is a bunch of politicians that come and go. They can be elected. They cannot be elected. You don't really know who's going to be there. Look, from Jim Justice's standpoint, at least give me this. I have taken you on a heck of a ride. I've only got 2 years left. I could just ride the wave to the finish line, and I'd probably be the greatest governor you've ever seen. That's all I have to do. I don't have to be here doing this. I can just ride the wave. Go cut the ribbons and ride the wave. Because the wave's not going to stop near term. And now I'm going to be gone. But then is when the hole in the bucket could really happen. Think about this just for a second. Severance taxes are sky high today. We have surpluses beyond surpluses beyond surpluses. We have absolutely recruited business after business after business because we've packaged together things that they wanted and got it done. And they're coming from everywhere, and I've told you not one time have they asked Jim Justice, they said to Jim Justice, we won't come unless you get rid of that machine and inventory tax. Now, but there's two things that you need to dial into and ask yourself, and if you choose to pass this, you know what I'll do? See, because I can't lose in this one. Here's exactly what I'll do. You know, if it's passed, I'll be so respectful of you, it's off the chart. If it's passed, I'll be respectful of everybody. No question whatsoever. And every time you see me in Walmart or wherever like that, I'll walk right up to you and say, I told you so. That's exactly what I'll do. Because absolutely, you can rest assured without any question, dupe will happen. It does in every single thing we do all through life. And what I mean with that, there'll be bumps. There'll be bumps in the road. And when there's a bump, and Charleston doesn't know what to do, The only thing they'll be able to come up with is what they were coming up with before I got there, and that's cuts. And at that point in time, you'll lose services. And whether it be, and it'll be your decision, maybe, either it'll be the EMSs, or it'll be your police people, or it'll be the schools, it'll be something. Something will get left holding the bag. Stay with me. Stay with me just one more second, because this is so important. It is so, so important. Amendment 2 gives Charleston the complete control. Complete control. You have total control now. You do. Charleston, in Bob Pruitt's words, were just this. He said, what if a bunch of politicians that come and go came to you and said, give me all your wallets and give me all your money. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do after I get all your money. Then all the money that you have coming into your wallets, give me all that too. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to promise you I'm going to give it back.
Yeah, okay.
Now that's it. That's it from that side. That's one thing. If you vote for this, how many people really understand about the machinery and inventory tax that they'd like to do? How many of you have seen it? How many of you have seen that sheet of paper that I just have there that shows exactly a flat budget all the way across? How many of you have analyzed the whole deal? None of you. None of you. But yet, you're going to be asked to vote for this on a promise that we're going to give the money back. Okay. You're too smart. You're too smart for this. I am too. So from my standpoint, I can do one of two things. I can ride the wave, go cut the ribbons, be happy, or I can come and tell you. And at least if I come and tell you, I'll go home and sleep tonight. And Babydog will probably, like she's trying to sleep now. And really, truly, I'll roll over in the bed, and there will be your face right beside me. And I'll say, how you doing, Babydog? And she's so good. Now, but by coming and talking to you, at least in my heart, I'll feel like I told you so. Now, the second thing, so in other words, you're either going to do one of two things. You're either going to give control of your destiny to Charleston and think in their infinite wisdom they're going to make the right decisions all the time. And I say that's a bad, bad, bad move. That'd be like the states giving Washington, D.C. the prerogative on everything. You shouldn't do that. You don't have to do that. And the other thing is just this, is from a machinery and inventory tax, I gotta just say that, who in this room, now let's be really fair. If we pass a machinery and inventory tax, who in this room is going to benefit the most? Of everybody here. Who's going to benefit the most? It's me. It's me. My companies, it will save my companies millions of dollars. Me. And me is telling you don't do it. Because I came along to do one thing, and that's serve. Our forefathers, along the way, lost their farms and did a lot of things to serve. But today, politicians, in many situations, don't do that. They are doing what in many situations is best for them. Secondarily, you come into play, but primarily, they want something. Well, I don't want anything. I don't want a thing. Nothing in the world. And I can tell you this, and our companies have been anything but just flooded with money. But I can't tell you, and I can't tell you this money, this savings from the machinery and inventory thing would really help our company. It really would. But I'm telling you, it's not the right thing to do. So, the other thing is, What about y'all that are getting a paycheck from somewhere? If we pass the machine and inventory thing, what's that going to help you? I mean, now, the only other caveat with it is they had to have a way to get it passed. They had to have a way really to trick you to get it passed. How did they trick you? They said, you're going to get rid of your car tax. And if you'll vote for this, we'll get rid of your car tax. Now, let me tell you, if you choose that, and I would be the first to say, and I'll etch it in stone this very minute, and these are good people. They're not bad people. You know, I don't want to imply in any way they're bad people. They're not bad people. They're good people, really good people. I can tell you without any question, the very first thing that I'll do, and if you'll let me do it, I'll be honored to do it in a second. Because I believe I'd love for you to get rid of your car tax too. I'll send up the very first bill that I send up in the and when we come back into session, or I'll do it tomorrow. You know, will be a bill that'll basically say, we'll come up with a way to tax rebate you back for whatever your automobile insurance is, or property tax on your automobile is, and it's gone. I'll do it in a second because I don't want you to pay that either. But you see, that's not the issue. The issue is the 500-pound gorilla in the room. And that's not me. So don't think that. But the 500-pound gorilla in the room is the machinery and inventory stuff that will absolutely guarantee, no matter what they say, no matter what anybody says, that's going to just almost guarantee slamming the door on getting rid of your personal income tax. You see, no matter what anybody says, my values are entrenched as deep as they can possibly be, as deep as all theirs are, from the standpoint that I stand for life and I stand for all this, our guns and all the things that the Republican base stands for. I believe that. I believe it with all in me. I really do. Now, but the other thing that I do is I'm almost the Trump guy, or I'm almost the Reagan guy. In both those situations, both of them quarreled a lot with their own party, but they stood with the people. And that's where I'm going to stand. And I'm going to stand right there no matter what. Because I believe that you, the hardworking people, deserve the tax break. Not some company that is from out of state, who knows where, that's going to get an ungodly tax break, and you've got $5 gas, and you've got groceries and everything else to contend with, and they're saying, you don't matter. Or we'll get to you later. You see, really, if we had really good sense here, and I've begged, and I'll continue to do so. If we could sit around the table, we could find a way to legitimately get rid of the personal income tax on an aggressive, fast way, you, in short order, because you would have enough growth coming into the state of West Virginia, you could, on the back door, get rid of the machinery and inventory tax, and I'd be 1,000% behind it. But to do it on the front door, you don't have any guarantee of any growth or anything coming. And on the front door, you're not rewarding or helping you. And if you do it on the front door, you'll never see the back door. That's how I feel. Now, the other thing is point 2, and it'll be a lot faster. Nobody's going to argue with me. There's no way. There's no way in the world that anybody can say that getting rid of your personal income tax is not going to drive growth and all kinds of businesses, all kinds of anything and everything to West Virginia. For God's sakes, a living, all you got to do is pick up a book and punch in at Tennessee, or punch in at Florida, or punch in at Texas, or Wyoming, or South Dakota. Even nobody wants to go to South Dakota. I got a living. Just punch in and look. And then punch in West Virginia and look where you're located. You're within a rock's throw of all the population. And it's got to come right through us. So, at the end of the day, I really mean it when I tell you that I love you. And I really mean it when I tell you that the working, everyday person in West Virginia that goes and gets their dinner bucket and goes to work, they need our help right now. And the idea of passing something that we're hoping is going to happen, and passing something that we know is rewarding big business, and leaving you on the sideline for right now, and really hoodwinking you to say, well, you're not going to pay your car tax. That's not right. And so that's why I'm here. And at the end of the day, I'll be so respectful of whatever you come up with. And all I can say is, if what you choose is to go their way, do their thing, fall in line, not even vote, just fall in line and say, leadership wants this, and all of us are going to just fall in line and go right along, that's not me. That's just not me. And so, at the end of the day, Babydog and I will be here if you want to come up and say hi to Babydog, and they probably do. And I know you don't give a hoot about me, but that's okay. We'll answer any question you want. Just if you got a question, just please ask. And if I can't answer it, I'll defer to these guys. But all I would say in the end is, I mean it. I mean it. I'm going to stand, because I believe the overwhelming majority of y'all are getting a paycheck. And I know for a fact that if I could just dwell just 1 second more on this. You see, and just stay with me just 1 second. Not very long ago, I came up with an idea, and I said we should tier the severance tax on oil and gas and coal. We should help those industries when they're having a bad time, and those industries should help us when they're making massive profits, massive. I said that's what we ought to do. And we wallowed it around 14 times, and to tell you exactly what happened is the lobbyists got with the legislatures, promised them everything, money, everything in the world, and we didn't get it done. Well, let me just tell you the magnitude of what we missed. Now just think about this for a second. I'm going to go over to the board. I'm going to show you this. Y'all got to forgive me because I got a hip that's crazy. Let me get right back to this. Any of you know Murray Coal Company? Do you know that? Okay, you know Murray. At the time Bob Murray was living, all right, Bob Murray, and I can show it to you tomorrow, on his stationery, gave me what he thought the tiering on coal, on thermal coal, steam coal, should be. Not mine, not the legislatures, what a coal company thought it should be. Okay? I can give it to you tomorrow. I'll give it to the press, give it to anybody tomorrow. That was at $74 a ton or greater. $74 or greater for thermal coal, the severance tax was 10%. At the current time that we were doing this, the price of coal was $34. And he believed if he could get to this level, he'd be making so much money he didn't even know his name. He's right. Now think about it. Today, our severance tax is 3% for all practical purposes on all these tons. Today, thermal coal's $200. Now, this difference is 7%, right? 7% times that is $14 a ton. $14 more per ton that the state of West Virginia would be getting today. We're getting this. He wanted this at above $74. That's the price today. Guarantee it, been the price. And in fact, not long ago, if you sold it to Europe, it was $400. But this is the price. Right here's what we're getting. Right there's what he was promoting. The difference is 7%. 7% of $200 is $14. Today, in the state of West Virginia, you're mining about 75 million tons annually of this thermal coal. And that equals, I'll get it, that equals $1 billion. Now, think about it. I'm going to move over here, and I want you to pay really close attention to just that, just a second. We didn't do it. We didn't do it. I begged them to do it on 2 different occasions. We didn't do it. The entire budget of West Virginia is $4.7 billion. You could add $1 billion more right there. Last year, when the surplus was $1.3 billion, it would have been $2.3 billion. But now just stay with me. There's 2 more components. Here's the next one, is met coal. That's steam coal. Met coal would equal this. Then, you got the 800-pound gorilla in the room, gas. Gas has gone from $1 all the way up to $9 at times, and today it's at $6.50. I would bet you almost that gas would equal met and thermal put together. And we walked off and didn't do it. We didn't do it. Now, if I'm half right, it would have brought $2 billion more to West Virginia. If I'm all right, it would have brought $4 billion more to West Virginia. We didn't do it. I'm telling you, without any question in the world, our personal income tax is the way to go. Our machinery and inventory thing won't do doodly for you, other than a hope. That's all there is to it. You don't know it. You couldn't be possibly expected to know it, because absolutely we've run around in the shadows and we've come up with this plan, and lo and behold, here we are. Now, I'm telling you the truth with all in me. And I love these folks. I really do. And I believe in their values just as much as they do. But with all in me, sometimes you can get so wedded to something, and then you can't get away. Really and truly, if it's a next office or campaign donations or whatever it may be, when you become wedded, really you can't get away a lot of times. We don't have a lot of time left. At the end of the day, you're the disciples. I can tell a lot of people. The television will tell a lot of people. But there's a lot of folks out there that want this because they want it for themselves. I mean, you know, if you're Dow Chemical, do you want this? Well, of course you do. If you're Alpha, do you want this? Well, of course you do. If you're Arch Mineral, do you want it? Of course you do. Because it's just more money in your pocket. If you're Jim Justice and that's all you were in this for, you would want this because it would help Jim Justice's companies. But I didn't sign on for that. I've never signed on for that, and I don't care what any of you think or do or say. I know when I lay down what I've signed on for. Now, you gotta do something. You gotta do something where you gotta run into me at Walmart. And if you run into me at Walmart, like I said, I'm gonna look right at you and tell you, I told you so. Because I told you so. We blew that one. And that absolutely should go down in history as the god-awfulest mistake that our state has ever made. The god-awfulest mistake ever. Right there. And you think about this just for a second. Last thing. My family's in the coal business. For God's sakes, living, I know this backwards, upside down, down one side, down the other. Anybody that's mining that coal over there and getting $200 a ton, their mining costs can't possibly exceed, there's no humanly way their mining costs is exceeding $70. No way. They are making so much money that they can't even bathe in it. And if they were paying the state that delta of $14 in addition to that, they would still be making so much money that it would be very difficult to count. My last statement is just this. I was at Balcomb's Nursery buying plants, you know, vegetable plants and garden plants and flowers and everything because we had a little business called Oxford Lawn and Garden Center. And it was in the middle of their season, primary season, and there was people running everywhere, and there's greenhouses for as far as you can see in Charlotte. It's Metrolina is one big nursery down there, and the other big nursery is Balcomb's. And the guy that was running Balcomb's is Chip Balcomb. He's a big guy and everything. And I ran into him and I said, Chip, you know, how are y'all doing? Are you making a lot of money and everything? And he looked right at me and he said, Jim, we're making so much money we don't have time to count it. All we do is throw it in a barrel and weigh it. Really and truly, if you've got folks that are doing that good, we don't need to give them a little more and make it really tough on you. We don't need to do that. I don't care what office or what fund or what anything. We don't need to do that. We need to help you. It's your money. You're the ones that have pulled the rope and got us across the finish line. We need to help you. Now look, like I said, I'm not in this for a food fight. I'm not in this for anything like that at all. I'm in this just to tell you what I think is the truth. You've been represented one way, I'm representing this way, you decide. And if I were you, I'd be telling my in-laws and outlaws and everybody else under the sun exactly what you're about to do. And on laugh in, you know, there was a thing that came out and they knocked it in the head a lot of times and everything, you know, but you don't want to just be asleep at the switch here. A lot of people have even thought that Amendment 2 is about your guns. You know, it's pretty nicely bundled together. You know, it's bundled together, do this and we'll get rid of your car tax. And it's Amendment 2, and we're not going to say it's about guns, but it's Amendment 2. You don't watch out, you're going to make one, and I hate to say this way, but good gracious, you're going to make a mistake that you can't do. It probably won't be as great as that mistake, but it'll be dead gum close. West Virginia, and you are too good. And I mean that. I love you with all my heart. And I love these great folks too. I don't love any of you or these great folks as much as Babydog. Now, if y'all want to come say hi to Babydog, you come and do it. I'm done. Thank you.
Governor?
Yes,
Could
ma'am.
I ask a question, please?
I'll ask.
I'm a little bit confused. Way back in 2018, I was good at the state of the state, and that was part of your state of the state, which made you get rid of the business code and inventory tax. Same thing in 2019,
Right,
in your state of the state, get rid of the business
Right.
inventory.
right.
2020, same thing. What changed your mind?
Well, I'm not sure about 2020.
Well,
but-
I've got a video of it, so.
Okay, well, I know you got a video, but I think I did it twice, okay? I'm not sure of that, and I could have done it 3 times. But here's exactly what's changed my mind. Would you have believed at that time we'd have the surpluses that we have today? Would you or not?
Well, with the leadership of Senator
Now, come on, really?
Blair and with the flatline budget, that was their whole
How
purpose.
did the flatline, I make the budget, how'd that come about?
Well, you tell me.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly. It didn't come about because others, it came about because of me, you know. Now, I always want to give a lot of credit to a lot of folks and everything. But now, if there is no chance that, you know, Chairman Tarr or yourself or me, nobody would have believed we would have had the surpluses that we have today. Nobody. Now, would you have believed at that point in time that we really, genuinely could have gotten rid of our income tax? Not me. Not me. Okay? And would you have believed, or did you have the knowledge at that time that business after business after business, Berkshire Hathaway and Nucor and Green Power and all of them would be coming? Well, now we know, don't we? I've said to you, I would love to get rid of all the taxes. You would too. All the taxes. I'm just saying at that time in life, nobody would have believed that you could have gotten rid of your personal income tax. We know we can today. Nobody would have believed the companies would have come, but we know they've come today. It's a different animal. It's an entirely different animal. So to say, you believed in it then, you don't believe in it now, I believe in it just as much then as I do now. Just as much. But I just believe the way we're going at this, you know, we're going at it so backwards, it's unbelievable. I would have never really believed that what we would have done is run the level of risk for our counties and our cities that we're running. I would have never believed, now I'm answering. I would have never believed we could have got rid of our income tax. I would have never believed that the companies would come without asking about that.
Governor, thank you. I got a call to come to this meeting today, and so did Senator Tarr, and he's come prepared to talk. Would you give him a few minutes to explain why we support him?
You know, listen, and I love for everybody. I wasn't asked to come and give a few minutes when Senator Tarr was going all around the state.
Why did your office call us and ask us to come prepared?
Now, who called and asked you to come?
Mary Harrison, I believe her name. She worked for you?
She does.
Yeah.
She called you and Senator Tarr and asked you to come?
Yes, that's right. And that's why he's here, to say.
I mean, CJ, is that right?
I'm not sure.
Pardon me?
No, well, listen, from my standpoint, I'm tickled to death that Senator Tarr if he wants to talk.
Well,
You
I
know.
think that's why he's here.
Well, I mean, if he's not here to talk, he's here, he can ask a question. Why don't you ask a question, sir?
Oh, sure. I'm happy to ask questions. And so, first of all, thanks for doing this, Governor. I think you're bringing a lot of attention to something that's extremely important. I think having a discussion is important for everybody here. So thank you for doing this reform, because I think it's brought a lot of attention to something that otherwise people weren't really looking at what could happen as far as the opportunities for tax relief for them, the families and small businesses across the state as well as.
Could he have a microphone so you all can
sure.
hear him?
I'm
keep in mind, because I lost the other.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, thank you for the opportunity. And we did get a call from your office to ask us to come up and be prepared to participate in the public forum. I got that call yesterday at 3 o'clock, so that's why we came up here. So did Senator Bowler. I do have some questions. So to me, it feels like there's a bunch of stuff left out. So first of all, I keep hearing elimination of the income tax. But that's not what's being proposed to us. Is it correct that you're proposing a 10% income tax cut?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, and if that's the case, the median income family in West Virginia makes $48,000 a year. That's less than $9 a paycheck. Anybody here, if you remember what you just paid on your car tax, think about it, you just filled up a blue slip, you had to go in and prove that you paid your car tax to get your car registration renewed. How much was that check you had to stroke? That tax can only be relieved by Amendment 2. So I've heard you also say that you support eliminating the car tax. If you truly support eliminating the car tax, why not support Amendment 2? Because Amendment 2 allows the discussion to go forward. And if you compare that to a $9, almost $9 per paycheck cut, to those who have an income, we've already relieved the income tax on seniors. If you make less than $100,000 a year, you don't pay an income tax. But I bet you got a car. If you are somebody who's also a low income individual, I want to make sure I got that part as well. If you're low income, very well likely not paying an income tax. However, I bet a lot of our low income individuals have cars and have to pay that tax on their car to get them to work. And so when you compare that to at a median income for a family of $48,000 a year for a 10% income tax cut, when the income tax is $2.56 billion to eliminate, it seems disingenuous when you're talking about eliminating it, when the proposal is at 10%, and we can get there to elimination if we pass this amendment and we are able to do major tax reform, gets us on a path to do what our neighbors have done in Ohio, who added 70,000 jobs after they did this. Pennsylvania also does not have these taxes, and there's 6 other states in the country that don't have these taxes. So my question is why in the world would you move from that when the legislature has followed your lead? And it's been incredible. Rocket ship ride, no doubt. We have followed your lead and gone right behind you lockstep in 2018 when you came out and said just cut taxes and win. And we started, and Governor, you did, flat budget. I jumped right in behind you because I thought that is an absolute champion way to go. And I think anybody in our caucus would know, nobody has said no or hell no more than me to legislators to make sure that we held that flatline budget by not letting bills go through that expanded government. And so we did that for 4 years following your lead. 3 years on State of the State address, you're getting out and saying do it. And then when we do it, and here's the bill, I got the bill right there that does both. It eliminates, follows this up, should we have passed Amendment 2, it eliminates the machinery equipment inventory tax and the tax on your vehicles, and does a 10% income tax cut, and has a way to phase it down over time as revenue grows, as the economy grows, to replace that income tax. We could be the most powerful state in the country for attracting people and business. But you have to vote Amendment 2 in to get there. So I'm confused about only telling half of it when you've led the charge so hard, and I followed you lockstep all this way because of what you've done, and I was bewildered when you came out against this.
Well, okay, now, here's the thing, and this is what we've been faced with over and over. You know, Senator Tarr is coming up with numbers and stuff that we don't believe are accurate at all. Your Secretary of Revenue is sitting right there, and really and truly, he's analyzed. This is a Deputy Secretary of Revenue. He's sitting right here, and he's analyzed, and they don't believe it either. Now, they don't believe these numbers. We know without any doubt that getting rid of your car tax is going to be something that I would be for. I would be for tomorrow. Okay? Now, But we believe wholeheartedly and we know that getting rid of 10% of your income tax is worth to you $254 million or $270 million, and the car tax is worth to you $145 million. And we know that. We know that. The other flip side of it, you can twist it 1,000 different ways, and if you'll go back to my first gyration in regard to getting rid of the income tax, from the standpoint of those people that were not receiving any, that were not paying an income tax at all, we tax rebated money back to them. We gave them rebates because those people were really hurt. You're not going to leave those people on the sidelines. But we can come up with if that man is right, and he says that it's between $254 and $270 million, I trust these people to be right. We had to beg them over and over and over to even see their numbers, But with all that being said, you got to decide. You got to really decide. You see, we could say, well, I'll tell you what, let's just vote. Let's just vote on every issue. If we want to change the tax code, I guess the people can take it to a vote. But when you absolutely are teeing up for just a group of people, whether they be legislatures, 134 people, that can just decide on their own your destiny, it's a big risk to me. Now, we can be shocked all day long, and we don't need to debate this. I said we're not going to do that. So we're done. We're done. We're not going to debate it. That's not what we're here to do. When you have your meetings, you don't invite me. We don't need to debate this. We don't need to get in a food fight about it. I'm telling these people, this is my thinking. My thinking of what we should do. And really and truly, what I think we should do is we should not stop at 10% of the income tax. It's crazy. We absolutely should be sitting at a table today trying to figure out how to eliminate your income tax. How to get on a pathway to eliminate the income tax. 10% to stop it to say, well, Governor, you're just talking about 10%. Well, no, the governor's not just talking about 10%. The governor came out with a 10% deal because you were hurting because of inflation, and we wanted to throw you a bone to help out at times when times were rough, and then get on a pathway of getting rid of our income tax. The reason they can't do it is they got to have all the money. They got to have all the money. Now, let's just take my numbers for a second, and Senator Tarr's numbers. But if we take the income tax 10% at $260 million, okay, and we add that to the car thing, $145 million, you're a little over $400, and then add the machinery and inventory stuff, without much inflation or whatever, and before you know it, you're going to approach $900 million. Now, if you do that, just poof, like that, your base building, you're taking $900 million out of the revenue of the state. That's what you're doing. And you're hoping that there's no bump in the road. You're also taking $900 million out and saying that if Nucor wants to come, and Nucor's got to have $300 million to come, you don't have it. But you've got a field out here and hoping they're coming. You got a field, but if they don't come, you're in real trouble. It is a philosophy. Listen, there's nobody on the planet more pro-business than me. I don't care what anybody says. Y'all can talk all day long. There's nobody more pro-business. There's nobody that has more experience. And literally, we get out running with the bulls and come out with stuff that we believe, and I'm not downgrading. Senator Tarr believes his numbers. These people don't. I don't believe that was his sheet right there of $4.645 billion a year, year after year after year after year, flat, 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 flat. If you believe you can do that, I've got great oceanfront property in Kansas that I can sell you tomorrow. Yes, sir.
I'm not even sure where to start. You know, I'm in the House of Delegates. We've got the senators over here. We've got an executive branch. We've got a super majority in the House. We've got a super majority in the Senate. We've got the Board of Public Works. And quite frankly, we're blowing. You know, I don't want to be in a food fight either, but, you know, we're constantly the House against the Senate don't agree with the House. Neither one of us agrees with the governor doesn't agree with the House at one time or the Senate. This is hurting the people of West Virginia. We have a super majority. We should be doing what's in the best interest of the people. Quite frankly, I'm all in favor of Amendment 2. And I understand what you're saying. We need to pass Amendment 2. The executive branch, the legislative branch, these gentlemen need to sit down and work it out. We can do this, but we can't do it if we're trying to figure out who's going to get first base first. I mean, to me, this is just, I'm appalled that we're in the position. We should be making history right now. We should be doing historical things in the state of West Virginia. We shouldn't have to be having meetings like this. We should just be getting it done. You know, I'm a firm believer that we don't have to have a conversation about how to replace all of the funds. I mean, we can have discussions about cutting costs, reducing spending. Those things are all things that can be done. And I think, and you've probably heard people mention before that I've made this suggestion. Governor, I'd like to see you appoint a task force. Not politicians in Charleston, but business people, bankers, accountants. Bring the department heads in and say, we're going to cut your budget by 10%, 5%, maybe 5%. And I'm not talking about cutting services. That doesn't have to happen. We can do that, but if you bring a department head in and say, can you cut your budget by 5%? No, Governor, I can't do that. In fact, I need more money. Can you reduce your payroll by 5%? No, Johnny retired last week. I need somebody new. That's the answer every single time. And I'm going to use the department, and I don't mean to be rambling on, but I'm going to use the Department of Highways because that's what I'm most familiar with, manufacturing and the transportation industry. For years, at the end of the year, I've had people call me and say, I need a quote on 10 trucks. All across the eastern United States. I'm not talking about just West Virginia. Don't need the trucks, but I got the money. But don't spend the money, I won't get it next year. We've got to figure out a way to incentivize these people to cut their budgets and not have a fear of losing their money. I'm on a tangent, but I know there's just tons and tons of money out there that we can reduce the amount of money that we need to put back into the coffer. But you, Governor, the House of Delegates, the senators, we need to pass that. Then y'all need to sit down and get it worked out. We got a super majority. We need to take advantage of it while it's here. Sorry about the rain, but this is doable.
I appreciate your feelings. And Dave, do you have that chart of the employees, you know, the graph that was the employees, you know, it was in blue? Do you have that?
I don't have that with me, Governor. I know what it shows, but I don't have it with me.
Well, what it would show is, since I got there, every single year, just about, well, I think for the most part, every year, we have decreased in the number of state employees that we have across West Virginia. The only thing I would beg to differ with you, you could say, we could be doing great stuff. How in God's earth could we be doing more great stuff? You know, I mean, at the end of the day, sure. I mean, no matter if I go out and pitch 9 straight perfect games, you could say, well, we could do 10. You know, yay. You know, on top of all that, if that's not enough, you know, why in the world didn't we do it before I walked in the door? You know, why didn't we make? And the other flip side of it is you may think differently, but there's, look, I will promise you to God above, no matter how hard you try, you cannot cut your way out of problems most of the time. You have got to have a combination of cuts and growth and all kinds of things. When you just start thinking you can just cut stuff, every time you cut stuff, you're going to affect somebody. And it's belief that we just have all this ungodly waste out there and everything. Well, I tell you, because I'm the #1 campaign guy, if you've got waste, somebody bring it to me. Just arbitrarily saying, well, we'll just cut all y'all 5% across the board, that sounds really good until you can't do it.
That's my point, Governor. They're not going to bring that to you.
No,
That's not going to happen.
no. What I'm saying is legislatures, bring it to me. Bring it to me. But what I'm telling you, this sounds good. But I've run a lot of stuff, a lot of different companies. At the end of the day, when you all of a sudden are stepping back and you say, well, I can just cut this and I can cut that and I can cut that, that's great. Until all of a sudden, you start lining them all up, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you turn around 10 times and you got those kids that are hurt, or those older people that are hurt, or this person's hurt, or that service is gone, and we think we can do it. At one point in time, we were even going to do this. We came up with a brilliant idea. Well, let's just get rid of, from the standpoint of our arts and culture, we don't need that. We'll just put that over in education or whatever. We don't need that. Well, you just think what that's brought us. At one point in time, nobody on this planet would have spent money on tourism. No way. We wouldn't have done it. We just wouldn't have done it. We wouldn't have gone out and spent money on tourism, and I just beat it and beat it and beat it and beat it, and we did. What has that brought us? I mean, just to say that there's all kinds of room to cut and everything, I would say to you that personally, I really believe the passage of this is wrong, because the people, the counties, which have control today, we're taking local control and putting it in our hands. And from the standpoint of having these so-called supermajorities and a Republican governor, we ought to just do everything in the world. Well, first of all, we are almost doing everything in the world. But the other thing is, we disagree from time to time. And when we disagree, then we just, to me, we do completely the opposite of what we should do. Instead of getting in a room and trying to figure it out, we absolutely just run off to ourselves, and then we try to just do it ourselves. I've never seen a situation like that. Yes, ma'am.
Dave said that he came in 2017. Okay, 2018 you were pushing for it. Was Dave for it? He came in 2017. In 2018, he would have advised you, and you came out in your State of the State.
Now, who would advise me?
What?
I'm
Dave Hardy, your tax commissioner, said in there.
okay.
He came to your, in 2017, right? Is that right, Dave?
Yes.
What was your recommendation to the governor in 2018 when he came out in the State of the State to do away with business and inventory tax?
There was a proposal which did not pass because the teacher strike just completely wrecked the capital at the time.
Okay, what about 2018?
This is 2018, about the
Okay,
inventory.
and in 2019, you recommended in the State of the State.
2019, we didn't have a formal proposal. The last time we had a formal proposal was 2018.
In 2020, the governor came out in support of the business and industry. Did you not have any recommendation on that?
I don't recall talking to the governor about it, to
But
be honest.
what I'm trying to get at is, when did you change your mind about supporting
When we
it?
started racking up, well, number one, I work for the governor, so when the governor tells me that he wants to policy, that's what I do. But the idea, the notion that we might be able to reduce the state income tax only has come with the reality that we have unbelievable surpluses and that other states are starting to do it, and they are ringing up success.
But I'm talking about the business
Oh,
and industry.
You asked me when I came to the income tax. That's why we have moved toward the income tax. The income tax cut, right in July, passed, would have put $271 million in the average West Virginian. Across the state, the average West Virginian would have gotten about $275. The car tax is half that. Car tax is $140 million. It doesn't take effect as fast. And with respect to the car tax, the average tax on a car, we ran this number today, is about $225. So you were ahead already back in July by a 2-to-1 margin. $271 in your pocket versus way out there on the car tax, $140 million. It was a 2-to-1 win. The numbers that Senator Tarr has in his plan, the one that the governor has referenced here, makes an assumption in 23, 24, 25, 26 that we are going to have a flat, all the way across flat budget for 4 more fiscal years.
Dave, I'm not addressing that. You're misrepresenting.
No, I'm reading your chart. No, let me finish. I'm looking at your chart, not mine.
Misrepresenting.
With inflation running at a 40-year high, which we all know about. Now, every year, just on state pay raises, PEIA, we all know how much health insurance costs. Right now, we have to look at our pensions very hard because Wall Street has brought down the return on our pensions. None of these things are new. You've been around a long time. A long time. So you know exactly the same information that we know and Medicaid that can wreak havoc on the state budget. All those things can happen in 6, 12 months, easily. It is not realistic to run financial projections, and they're here in writing, and have that state budget assumed to be flat for the next 4 fiscal years. In my opinion, that is an absolute terrible assumption. And I'm speaking as a CPA, an attorney, and someone who's done public budgets for 27 years. Mark Muco, to my right, has done 38 years.
Mark Beecho has been a great asset for the state of West Virginia.
He sure is.
I can say that.
He sure is, as have you, and I hope I've been one too.
Since you're representing my stuff, I should be able to comment.
All I can do
What
is
you're
read it.
clearly misrepresenting something was to show that if the budget did not increase, how much money there would be to work with, all the way through there. So you can go in and actually increase the budget that much on expenditure to backfill the counties by what's left after that. And they misrepresented this not just here. I've heard you misrepresent stuff on the radio for testimony in front of Joint Finance. And so the half-truths and misrepresentations out in the general public they are below the government. And that's been a problem.
We'll have to agree to disagree. I take my duties very seriously.
As do I, as chair of
When
the
I stand in
finance
front of your
committee.
committee, I'm telling you the truth as I know.
Hold up just 1 second, sir, if you don't care, just Senator, let me just say this. I've told you why at one time I thoroughly believed that we should get rid of our machinery and inventory tax if we could. You know, at the very same time, I told you that too, didn't I? You know, and we blew that, not because of me. Now, I told you absolutely at one time, get rid of the machinery and inventory tax. I would be there for it wholeheartedly. I would tell you right this moment in my life that if we had it now, you know, if I would have told you then, and let me be ridiculous to make my point, I would have told you then that we need to invest in an F-18 aircraft or whatever like that because it's going to go, you know, 800 miles an hour. And all of a sudden, since that time, now we've discovered alien aircraft that will go 500,000 miles an hour. Well, then it's different, isn't it? But today it's really different, and it's different because of 2 things. You have ungodly surpluses that today you can get rid of your personal income tax, and you couldn't do both at the same time. There's no humanly way. And today, we also know today that business after business after business is coming to West Virginia, and they're not asking me about the machine and inventory tax. So it's different. It's just plain different. But the other thing I would tell you is just this. What in the crap does it matter? What does it matter
what we talked about in 2018. We didn't talk about what's going on.
In 2018 and 19 and 20.
Well, okay, what does it matter?
21, we passed
What,
the.
no, just answer my, what does it matter? You know, I've given you the reason why, but now just stay with me just one second. Wait just one second. Today, this gentleman and that beautiful lady right there, they have a paycheck. And I ask you, as Republicans of all things, to give them a tax break. And you just snub your nose at it.
And that's what Senator Tarr said. If you pass this amendment, we will work on the personal income tax cut.
Well, boy, that sounds great, doesn't it? But I asked you months ago to give them a tax break. And you, as Republicans of things, absolutely just turned your nose up at
There's
it.
only so much money we had to work with.
No, that's right. Because you need all the money. That's exactly.
I don't need the money.
No,
Maybe you need
no,
it, but I don't.
no, but for your program, that is exactly what the problem is here. You need all the money.
Governor, the bill here has a plan to do both. That's what, it's right here, I have it right here.
Listen, I know the bill. I can make up anything I want.
But you're saying we don't money, I'm saying no, you don't, because here it does both.
Look,
It does both.
listen, what happens if tomorrow, and under the Biden administration, which I think is complete crazily, okay? But what happens if tomorrow the stock market goes to 9,000? What's going to happen?
I can answer that.
Well, Lord, let's don't get into all this. We're wasting all these people's great time. You know, let me just tell you just this. I'm a believer that Duke can happen. That's all there is to it. I absolutely believe that we ought to sit in a room, and like Dave was talking, we ought to sit in a room, and without any question, we ought to have a really great discussion. We ought not just say, no, we're not going to look at that. But today, if we think today you can couple in income tax, car tax, machinery and inventory tax, you think you can just do it all and not run a big time risk to the people? You know, sure it'll work. For God's sakes, sure it'll work. If you'll factor in, we'll grow at $1 billion a year. Sure it'll work. But for crying out loud, you know, Babydog doesn't believe it, you know, and really I don't either. And I hope to goodness that you've heard me and you've heard the other side, and I want you to know without any question, I've said it 1,000 times. This is a beautiful lady that's really smart and really good, and this man right here is a good man, and we're both on really the same side of the fence, but on this one, we're just disagreeing. And you know, and so make up your own mind and everything. I felt compelled to come and talk to you, and I love you with every bit of it. So thank y'all so much.